Shimatsu's Parent Night. Before we start with the curriculum, Mr. Limon wanted us to go over some digital citizenship points that he wanted us to go over with the parents. So digital citizenship, first of all, is safe and responsible technology use, both by you and by your children. So the first thing we want to talk about So what is digital citizenship? So our students are now living in a world that's smaller than ever. I know when I was younger, I didn't have a computer, didn't have internet, didn't have any of that stuff until I was already in high school. So I was not exposed to social media, I didn't have an online footprint, so to speak. Now our kids do, and some kids are getting online younger and younger and younger, and some things that they might not or shouldn't be doing, they are doing. And that's where parents and teachers, the schools and the home has to step in and teach them what's right and what's wrong about being online. So some of the things that we want to talk about is protecting private information, like usernames and passwords. Sometimes the kids don't think it's that important that they can share their username or share their password with their friend because they're their friend and they want their friend to be their friend, and they might not be their friend if they don't do it, but it's very important to keep these things very private. So that's one thing we want to focus on with the kids. Respecting themselves and others as far as cyberbullying. Sometimes when the kids are online, and this happens when they're a little bit older, but when they're online and they say things that they wouldn't really say in person to somebody, but because it's on the internet and it's anonymous, they feel like they can get away with it. And that really affects the person that's on the other end, who's being bullied. So we want to talk about that too. Staying safe online, not talking to strangers. I mean, they know about not talking to strangers in person, but maybe online, someone contacts them and they might start talking to them, not thinking that it's a stranger or not thinking that it's something bad, and it could lead to bad things. And then there's also giving proper credit. So a lot of what's going on in the high school is plagiarism, and it's kids just copying and pasting somebody else's work and passing it off as their own. Now there's a lot of stuff now, like Turnitin.com, where teachers are able to submit the students' papers and then it cross-checks things online to see if they copied it. So there's filters now, but we want to teach the kids just not to even try to do that. You know, give credit where credit is due. And you tell the kids that if you created something and then someone took it and passed it off as their own, that'd be like stealing, because they're stealing your ideas. So that's kind of what we teach the kids about giving credit where credit is due. And balancing online and offline time. There's a lot of research that has gone on about how much time kids spend online and what they're doing online. So they might, like for example, we have Think Through Math, where the kids go on and they practice their math, which is okay, but there also has to be that balance where they're going outside to play or they're interacting with other children and not just with the screen. So we have to talk about that too. And cyberwise.org, you can always go on there, and they have a lot of tips and tricks and things for parents. Keeping personal information private, again, we have to stress that they keep their username and password private from friends. The only people who should know them are their parents and their teachers and them. That's it. They shouldn't share with anybody else. And we did have problems last year with kids signing in with each other's logins, and so all the passwords changed this year for that reason. And we're stressing to the kids that those are private and we have to keep them like a secret. Okay? Keeping children safe from online predators, again, that's about the safety. Now, parents are the ones that should decide when they're comfortable having their kids exposed to things online. But if you're not sure, SafeSmartSocial.com, they have some suggestions, and their suggestions are from 0 to 13, students' lives should be completely private. So they really shouldn't be having any social media or anything like that. 14 comfortable with. Like some parents are okay with doing Instagram, some Facebook, some Snapchat. So it's depending on the family and you talking to your kids and things like that. Then at age 15, they want to start considering posting positive images of them volunteering or doing good things in the community, because by 17, we want the universities and the colleges, when they search for these kids online, to find good things about them. And that's going to push them over to maybe getting into that Ivy League or getting into that good school with scholarships. And that's from SafeSmartSocial.com. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is netiquette. That's like etiquette on the net, right? So sometimes, as far as emails, some are not so clear, or they have maybe some things that the parent didn't mean to say or the teacher didn't mean to say, but it comes across as being, something negative. When we follow these netiquette rules, it helps a lot to just convey the message without any, negativity or hurt feelings or anything like that. So first, you want to identify yourself. So you want to say who you are and why you're emailing. You want to include a subject line, so just don't put hi or hello or good morning. You want to put why your message is important. You want to avoid sarcasm because it doesn't really come across very well in email. It's not good. It's not easy to understand, especially if you don't know the person very well. You want to respect others' privacy, so don't forward anybody else's email along with yours unless you have their permission. Acknowledge and return messages promptly, so we try really hard we get the message and we reply to it. That's one of the things that shows somebody that something's important to you. Copy with caution. Again, don't copy everyone on the message. You know how there's like reply and then reply all, and you wanted to just send it to one person, you end up sending it to everybody. So you gotta be real careful with that. No spam, so nothing like chain letters or send this to 10 people and you'll win the lottery or anything like that. Try not to send that. Be concise, so just keep it short, keep it simple, to the point. Use appropriate language, so nothing rude, no, curse words or anything like that. Good grammar, capital letters, periods, all that stuff, all that good stuff. Use appropriate emoticons, so if it's something that's, you're laughing, then you can put a little smiley face, or if you're sad, you put a little sad face, and then that gives people an idea of what exactly your state of mind is when you're sending that. And use appropriate intensifiers, so if you click everything and type everything in all caps, what does that mean? That you're screaming at the person. So if you put your whole sentence in capital letters, that means you're screaming at them. And so that might come off a little bit aggressive, and you didn't mean to come off that way. You just wanted it to be like the person to acknowledge that it's important, but it just comes off as if you're yelling. So try not to scream in all caps. But if you want to emphasize something, you can use asterisks instead of capital letters. You can use brackets or parentheses if you want to show your state of mind, like I'm grinning. And you can use common acronyms, like if it's something funny, you can put LOL instead of all caps. But so that was our citizenship or digital citizenship presentation. Does anybody have any questions on that? No? Awesome. So now we can get to the good stuff. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a fold at the top of your paper that looks like this. Okay, it's not very wide. It's a small fold. I'll come around just in case you're not sure. And you're going to do that to both of them. Once you have that, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to create small strips. You're not going to cut that part that you folded. So you're only going to cut up to the crease. Okay, I'm going to walk around so you can see. I only cut up want to just cut up to that crease. And we're going to continue to do that all the way down the paper on both. So you're going to cut your strips all the way to the crease on both of them. As many as you can fit. So you're going to do that to both, the light blue and the dark blue. So once you've gotten all of the little, like a little hula skirt, right? Okay, you're gonna take the pencil that we gave you, and you're gonna use it to roll each little flap. So I'm gonna walk around so you can see what I mean by roll it up. So you're gonna roll it up like this onto the pencil, and that's just because we want it to curl. Okay, you see how I rolled it up here? I roll it up on the pencil, just like that, one at a time. It's easier to do it one at a time. You need scissors too? Here, I'm just gonna show you, yeah. So first you're gonna grab this, she's got each one, and roll it up. And you're gonna curl them. Yeah, just like that. And you're gonna do that to each little flap. So you're gonna grab it, and you're gonna curl it. So you're curling them one at a time. And if you want them to be even more curly, after you've curled them, you can re-curl them just with your fingers to make them even curlier. You roll it up with your fingers. Any questions?
Do they have to do one by one, or can they do them like all together?
They can try and do them all together, but
But
it's
it
a little
gets-
bit
it's
difficult.
hard. Okay.
Yes, it's better to do it one by one, or you could even do it with your fingers. Like if you curl it.
Yeah, try it with your fingers, guys, if you're having trouble with a pencil.
So you could even do it like this. You grab it and you curl it up. And it gets even curlier. And so now you're gonna grab each one and you're gonna curl it up. And make them all curly. You can use the pencil, or you can just grab it. Take the pencil and use this. Is anybody need help? You want them to look like this. So you started good with the pencil, so now you just curling it with your fingers. Almost.
You might just want to do it with your fingers.
All right, so one of the things we have to work on here at the library is we got some books donated to us, and they're hardcover books and they're in pretty good condition. They're brand new. So we decided that it was worth it to put in the bib records, the holding records, and do everything that we need to do to make it ready for the students to use.
So we put in the AR levels, we put in fiction, and then the author. We put in our barcode. Inside we put in as well the AR quiz number, book level, and points for the students. We stamped it. So now it's time to cover it with a Mylar cover to help it last longer. So the first thing I do is I line up the top of my book with the white paper, and I'm going to fold the bottom of the white paper up to like pre-crease it. Take the book off and then just finish this part off. Okay. I take the jacket off the book now, and I'm going to put the jacket inside in between the Mylar and the white paper. And I want to try and make it as smooth as possible, as straight as possible. And I'm going to line it up right here as best as I can. All right, and then I will hold it down firmly. Okay, then we have a little plastic liner, and it's got a little bit of tape, but I'm not going to take it off yet. I'm going to fold it first and leave a little bit of play, not completely flush against the white paper, just a tiny bit. Go. And then I can use scissors, or I can just use the spine of the book to kind of crease it really well. Okay. So now it is creased, and I'm going to find where the book kind of belongs on the spine, right here. Okay. And once I do that, I'm going to try and pre-crease it there, just to make it a little bit easier for the book to close properly. And again, I just crease it. You can use the spine of the book, some scissors, a ruler, whatever you have handy. Then I do it for the other side as well. Okay. All right. Then I put my book back in, and then I fold my sides in just to see where they're going to end up. Okay, as you can tell, it kind of stays up, so you kind of want to pre-crease these edges as well. Leave a little bit of space. This side too. Okay. Now you've got yourself a donated book with your Mylar cover, and hopefully that'll extend the life of the book as much as possible. And then you will have to take some tape and tape in between the cover of the book to the Mylar cover on this side, on both top and bottom, on both cover and back cover. And that is how we get our donated books ready. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm putting together some signs for the library. These are going to go on the tables that are close to the AR testing computers. And on these tables, we ask parents not to sit, that they are going to be solely for students. And on one side it says this table is only for students, and on the other side it says the same thing in Spanish for our bilingual parents. And they're able to sit on any of the other tables, just not the ones that are close to the computers. So today I'm going to be checking these listening centers to see if they are working, all the components are working, in order to know if I can surplus them or not. So what I do first is I'm going to open them up, and they have all the components inside. So I take the player out, and I connect it here to the power.
and then I check to see if it turns on, and it is turning on. So I then put my CD in to the player, and I'm first going to check to see if it will play it, because I know that the CD works because I played it on a working player. So it doesn't seem to be reading it. I can hear it trying to work, but it is not working. So in order for me to be able to check all the rest of the components, I am going to have to use the working player. And so I know that this does not work, so I can set it aside. Then I know that this one does work, so I'll take the box where the earphones get plugged in, and I will plug it into the working player. And press play. So then I'm going to go through each of these headphones and check to see if they work. You can stop it. So now I'm going to connect each one of these, and I will put them on so to see if I can hear. And I cannot hear anything. Just gonna make sure it's on. I'm gonna disconnect it to see. It is playing. Check the volume on the headphones. I hear nothing. So I'm gonna move it to another port. Okay, on this port I can hear something. Alright, so maybe some of the ports on the box are not working. So I'm going to go through each one of these to make sure that they're working. Okay. That port is working as well. That one is working as well. And so I go through each and every one of these. This one doesn't have a port adapter, so I'll have to use one of these. Okay, these headphones, one side is not working. So I'll have to put that on the list of things wrong with this one. Oh, this one has the adapter on it. Okay, this one is working on both sides. So really it's only these two ports that are not working on this box. So after I've checked everything, I'm going to disconnect everything and put it back into the box. And after I do that, I'm going to list the things that were wrong with this one on a little piece of paper, which I will then tape here. I'm also going to fill out my paperwork that includes the asset description, the library barcode, then the district barcode, and it's if it's good, if it's bad, if it's decent, and if it can be surplused or not. And that's how I check the assets to see if I can surplus them.
Okay, so this is what my POs for book orders would look like from before. I would have the PO to the vendor, the ship to, and then I would itemize each book. Okay. At the top I would put all the contract information and everything, the list name, the number of books, because I would create a list first online. And then I would list how many, and then I would write the product number and the title of each book, the price, the amount. Okay,
Is
or
it,
the quantity
is it
is
end up
over
the
here.
same or?
Well, according to the quantity, if I
Right.
had 2, then the unit price would be this, and then of course that would double. Okay.
Gotcha.
So if you look at like this book order right here, this book order was 83 books, so I had to list 83 books.
Okay.
on the PO.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, so this would take a while,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
and so then there's the total. Okay, so this is for every book order I would do that. So like this one is for Follett. Let me show you one from Bound to Stay Bound. They're very similar, except the list looks slightly different, but
Okay.
same. When you look at it, pretty much it's the same quantity, the Bound to Stay Bound number, the title, unit price, and the amount. And so it's, you know, so that's what they look like. Now, because we have new guidelines where we don't have to submit as much financial information as we used to from before,
Okay.
what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make it easy on myself. So I still create the list for Follett.
Mhm.
I still have to create the PO.
Mhm.
But instead of itemizing each title on the PO, I just submit the list. I submit it to central office because they have to see what I'm buying and what I'm spending my money on. And so does the vendor, obviously.
Right.
But this will be my list as opposed to
Having
this.
to retype all of this
Right,
over here.
instead of having to retype it here.
Okay.
So that way, what will happen is a few of these books are not going to come in because their fill rate is probably in the 90s. I would say probably 95, maybe a little higher, but it's not 100%. So a few books, usually about from an order of let's say 70, 80 books, maybe 3 won't come in.
Okay.
Okay, so what will happen then is I took an average unit price. I took the total of my list. I divided by the number of books, and I got an average unit price. So if I have 3 books missing when they come in, then I'll just say I received 71 books, let's say, instead of 74, and we'll reduce the unit price by 3 times that.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
So then this, whatever I say is here in this PO isn't going to be exact to what they're invoicing us, but it's going to be very close.
And you can kind of.
You can kind of balance. Yeah,
it.
it's not going to be, it'll be off a little bit.
Yeah.
In the past, it was exact.
Right.
Because the 3 books that didn't come in, I would go to each title and I would say, this title didn't come in, this title didn't come in, this title didn't come in.
Okay.
And so it would be exact. Whatever the invoice said, my PO was going to be exact to
Okay.
it. Now it's going to be very close,
But
it
they're
won't-
allowing that. They're allowing
but
it to
our
be.
district is allowing that
Okay.
now. Okay, so that's why I'm doing it this way now, because I cannot create a PO unless the district approves it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so they're approving this. They're approving for us to do that.
Okay.
Okay, and so that's how. So that saves me a lot of time. now
Yes.
For book order.
It did. Senor Gomez kept experimenting, and others like Tito Romero helped. Inventing instruments wasn't easy, but they fiddled around, discovering which materials hit just the right notes. They transformed oil drums into cellos, water pipes into flutes, and packing crates into guitars. Soon there were enough instruments for all the children who wanted to play. Ada chose a violin made from an old paint can, an aluminum baking tray, a fork, and pieces of wooden crates. Worthless to thieves, it was invaluable to her. It was a violin of her very own. Senor Chavez set up a strict schedule of 3-hour lessons. The class had no classroom, so they played outside, despite the 100-degree heat and sudden downpours. At first, Ada and the others struggled. Sharps and flats clanged and clashed. Playing an instrument is a process. It doesn't matter if one is rich or poor, ugly, fat, thin. You cannot learn to play an instrument overnight, Senor Chavez told the children. Some kids decided it was too much work and gave up, but not Ada. After lessons, she would practice at home, sometimes 2 hours a day. In time, the screeches, twangs, and tweets hit all the right notes. Their class became a small island
where Chavez taught them to respect themselves and one another. Be kind and always say please and thank you. Say you're sorry. Be dedicated when you commit to something, Senor Chavez told the children. Soon, the ragtag crew of kids learned to tune in, to listen to one another, to band together. The recycled orchestra was born. From then on, there was something new in the air in Cateura. Gancheros trudging home from the landfill might lift their heads to hear the sounds of Ada's violin, or the strains of Bebi's cello, or the strum of Noelia's guitar. You know when we picked that one? We picked it because we thought they are not going to pick it because the cover's kind of boring, but the story is really good. So we said, let's start with this one so we make sure that they read it. So, all right, let's start with some discussion questions. What do you think courage is, and how does Joseph exhibit these qualities? So who wants to start? Okay, what do you think courage is?
He's not afraid, like he's gonna be going out for that in that wild all by himself. Like, would you do that? Just go out by yourself. Just to find something that you really love. Just like, what if you were going, if you lost something, like you went on a trip, like say to Wyoming or something, and you leave your, I don't know, grandma's special bracelet, and you really love it so much and you want to go back, then would you like actually go back?
Like
or,
on your own, right?
Yeah.
Over
Or would you
yourself.
like wait till like another year when you go visit?
Yeah, and then you might never find it, right?
Yeah, it might never be there.
What do you think?
Maybe like you love something so much, and no matter what, you know that you're gonna get it back, even if it takes you so much to get it back.
And
that
lots of danger, right?
Joseph, he faced adversity. He helped Aki find his family. He helped the Indians, the family after his. And then he faced what was his name?
Mr.
Yeah. The
Bishop.
murderer?
Mr. Bishop.
Oh, Bishop.
Oh no, not the murderer. That's Caleb.
Caleb Brownie.
Yes,
Yeah.
Caleb. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he showed courage and shot him.
I think courage would be doing whatever it is. It would be doing something just to get something back. So Joseph in the book, he lost his hair, so he went and he lost so many things just to go and get Sarah back.
Yeah, he showed a lot of courage, didn't he? What do you think he did? What do you think he did that was courage for you? Or from what you read? You can't think of anything? What do you think?
I think it was courageous how he went through all of that stuff just to get his voice back.
Yeah, it was his like last link to his family, right?
Yeah,
That's all he
everybody
had
else would die.
That's good, girls. Would you have given the Chinese boy food?
Yeah.
You think so? If you saw him sitting there, he wasn't asking for food, right? He was just sitting there. How do you think? Why do you think Joseph thought he needed food?
Because he was like, he had a pale face, was just lying there on the floor, you know, dirt and grass. And
They didn't want to give him anything. He said that he doesn't really spend for anything.
So how would you communicate with him? Like he speaks Chinese, you speak
well, I would
English.
like do hand motions.
You would act out.
What happens if he doesn't know how to read? It's in the past. I would have a phone.
You would time travel,
I
come
would
get a
click-
phone and go
I
back.
would click the thingy where you'll
To
say
translate?
something and then it comes out in some other words in a show.
Oh, okay. Alright. If it was today, maybe we could do that.
Yeah. But
Alright.
if it was today, we could just take him to a hospital.
That's true.
Just call 911 and somebody else at the hospital will be
And
like,
take care of him.
Mhm.
Alright, so that grizzly part, that was pretty scary, right?
Yeah.
But
that was
weird because sometimes you're down to
Yeah, like he just walked in
Something
and was
funny happened at the end, but when it was happening, it was really scary, right? Do you
and very
think
funny.
at the end, yeah. Would you have
Okay, now me.
would you have done what Aki did with the grizzly to save
Oh,
Joseph?
no.
Would you have gotten
No.
off the rock?
I mean, if I
I'm
had
not
some
sure. I just read
strength
this book Ice Station, there's a story about a little guy that he's weird. He's different from others because he is sick. And then they have partners in their science class because they're gonna make a project, and he gets Bell, yeah. And then they make their some friends, and then there's a bully that bullies Bell, and then he's like, you don't have any friends, and blah blah blah. And then he heard, so then he stepped in between them, and he told him, she does have friends. And
So it's kind of like what Aki did with the grizzly, right?
Yeah.
He stood in between him
The book,
and Joseph.
Wonder I read. I also read the Alvin book. It's super good. Like the way he stands up to Julian. Yeah, I think.
From Wonder?
Yeah, from Wonder. He stands up to him. Josh. Yeah, Josh. Josh Will. He stands up to him because he was making fun of Augie, and so Josh will punch him.
So he kind of did the same thing, right?
But except without the punching part. He did it without violence.
Good. Yes, ma'am.
I would know what Aki did because after all, Joseph did save him. He was starving and then he helped him.
He kind of owed him his life, right? Even though Joseph never
You
made him
really-
feel like that, you would still want, to do something
and-
for Joseph.
The man who he was laying in the yard of probably didn't want to feed him because back then they were called like Chinese man because they were
Yeah, like
they were
in the
different
story
and
when
he probably
they talked to the people and they saw the
Yeah.
Chinese, they were like mad.
he probably didn't
What's that called when someone gets judged by
segregation. No, that's
No, that's
we
when
call it racism.
racism?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was
It's
a
just
little
that
bit of
he's
racism
different.
in the book, right? How did you feel about that when they would say things like that?
To be honest, they're exactly the same, just different.
Even when he finds his family, he even offered him if he wanted him to keep going with him until he found his son.
Yeah, like he wanted to make sure that Aki felt like he was wanted, right? That even though they couldn't speak the same language and they didn't look the same, they were still the same on the inside.
They helped other people.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and like he could have chosen to stay with the one who owned the laundry place. He could have chosen to stay with him and then friends family, but instead he chose to go with Joseph on an even more scary journey in the boats.
Yeah, that was pretty scary when Aki went in the river.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On that last
Under-
part, whenever he was under the water and then he
And
thought he
whenever
wasn't
he
gonna
just
go
uses
back
all of his
under the
skills,
logs,
like,
but he came back.
whenever he asks him something, he just
Just
Well,
like-
thing.
well, because he didn't understand,
Do you
right?
know how to swim? Do you know how to swim? And then it came out that he actually did know how to
His
swim.
head was like,
Yes, that's
And,
good.
and the whole time he didn't even know that
What are
he
you
was
looking
after
for?
the horse.
Mhm.
The guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
he had
end.
no idea why they were going anywhere, right?
And
He
he's
was
like,
just following him.
yeah, and then he said like keep your pants up because
That's right. All right, so after the river, or before the river actually, why did the Indians want Joseph and Aki to stay?
Because he like helped their chief's son back home.
Because he had the big cut in his leg.
It looked like he had like broken it, right?
I
He
think
saved them because they had been in the forest for like a really long time, and they didn't know they didn't have any other way to communicate back then. So like the little girl couldn't do anything because she couldn't run back because like something might have happened to the boy.
Yeah, or she could have gotten lost too, right? Yeah.
So then
And she obviously seems younger than him.
and then when they pick up the boy, and then Joseph asked him which way, and he's like he just told something to the girl, and then the girl just starts running everywhere.
And they had to follow her, right?
Yeah, it wasn't known.
Would you have stayed with the Indians, or would you have left like Joseph and Aki
left.
did?
I would have left
would
if I
love
loved
to never
like that
pick
horse
up
so
what I
much.
left.
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
love to finish what I started.
I'd love to
if
finish
So
what you
many
started.
miles, like oh my.
Because what's the point in starting getting all the way over there and then just stopping? Like he definitely had to like whenever he got to Bishop and he said, oh this man got him, and this man got him, oh this man got him. So
He just kept going
he
after
kept
her,
like
right?
going after him until he
Do you
got
think
to
he
Spain.
had a plan for when you found her? Like, what was gonna happen later
Yeah,
after?
we're gonna either.
Well,
Well, they couldn't have gone home because Mr. Peterson, he was.
maybe when he heard that he kept giving him to Caleb Frowning, maybe he did have a plan there, but not all the way before since he started his adventure trying to get Sarah back. Because she didn't even have any idea what would happen.
He didn't even know she was still
She would even
alive.
get to her.
Could have been killed or something.
So how can one be friends with someone when there's a language barrier? Like when you can't speak that person's language, how can you be friends?
Like,
Just by
you know, Renee, when she got to the school, she couldn't speak
oh,
any
but
English.
he in the in the book he kept on like sharing his food.
Oh, so that was a friendly thing, right? By sharing his food.
And so, whenever she got here, everybody wanted to be her friends, even if they couldn't speak her own language. So eventually, their friend, when she became friends, he started like learning. Like, you know how Joseph was all like, Joseph. And
Yeah.
then he said Joseph.
I-
Yeah. So, yeah. So, if you're actually their friend, you would like help them learn, so you'd be able to not have that barrier anymore.
That's right, and that happens a lot here at our school, right? We get
Like
students
Spanish.
from all over the world, and we have to be friendly to them and help them feel like they belong, right? Okay.
I always stated that everyone in my group is not inspiration in the United States.
Oh, so now we're talking about how you don't understand. You're the person that doesn't understand the language. How does that make you feel? So is that how you think Aki felt? Like he
Yeah.
was left out?
Because everybody else, pretty much most of the people spoke English, so they were talking just like,
Yeah.
and that was pretty much all they could say.
And remember, he would always go up to people and show them
The
the little
bird.
pebble, and he would say something, hoping
And
that they
nobody
would
know.
understand.
Like,
and-
whenever he was still living birth, he just like, la la.
Yeah.
And then when they get a key to his family, they trade the memories that they both have.
Yeah,
And then
he got the.
Joseph, he said that that's how you collect memories. That every time you pick something, then you get another one by the time you go.
Can we move on?
Yeah, they gave the black bird with the stone from the bottom screen.
Why does Joseph tell Aki to stay with his family? Why doesn't Aki stay with Joseph to finish his quest to get Sarah back?
Oh, because he was obviously looking for his father for a very long
And
time.
Joseph?
Yeah, Joseph, he's like, you know, you've been from far away. You don't want to get lost again.
Yeah.
Aki had gone through so much trouble and how he didn't know how to survive and where he was because he wasn't with his family. He didn't know what they were doing. So it was better when he did because he knew what they were doing. They would be safe.
And Joseph kind of, he didn't have a family anymore, and he wanted Aki to be with his family, right?
Like comfort.
And also because he knows what it's like to miss something that he really loves.
And he didn't want Aki to feel that anymore, right?
Yeah, he had already gone through so much trouble just to get to his family. Joseph probably thought it'd be unfair to just take him away and then keep going.
Do you think Joseph kind of wanted him to come with him?
Of course. He didn't want to continue alone.
Also, Joseph was like trying to tell his dad to tell him that that's where he belongs. That he doesn't.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are here to learn about how to use PictoChart. PictoChart can be used to make a presentation, an infographic, or you can even use it to make a flyer. So what I'm going to show you today is how to make a flyer for an event or maybe for your classroom. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click login because I already have a login. Now if you don't have one, you could click sign up. Okay, so I'm going to log in. And these are some of the things that I have worked on already. So let me take you up here. If you look on the left, it is your options for what you can do. So this is your dashboard. This is all the stuff that you've done. Infographic, it gives you some options on what you can
use. So these are the free templates, and then there are pro templates, but of course you would have to get a paid subscription for that. But free templates are nice as well, and you can create your own. So that's what I've done. I've created my own. You can do a presentation, so it's almost like a Google slide or a PowerPoint or Prezi type presentation. And of course, there's free templates and the pro templates. Then you have your printables, and this is where you can go to make your posters, to create a report, or to make a flyer. Now, for flyers, you can go in and you could just look at the ones that they have and change things around, or you can create a new flyer, which is what I'm going to do. And since we have our book club coming up, I'm going to show you how you can create a flyer for your book club. So I'm going to get rid of this because I don't need it. And over here, these are your options for your graphics. You've got different shapes that you could choose from, and it has a search option, and it's got drop-down menus in case you're not sure what to search for. Animated icons, those are for the Pro, so we won't be able to use anything from that. Lines, this is how you can add lines onto your page. You can add photos. There's already some pre-selected photos. Again, there's a search, and there is a drop-down menu. And then photo frames, so these you could put on to create some more visually appealing photographs. So those are your options for graphics. You can upload things. You can upload pictures or GIFs or whatever it is you might have on your computer that you would like to put on there. You can pick a background. There's all kinds of backgrounds on here for your flyers. This is where you would go to put text on there. You can choose a color scheme, but you would have to go pro for that. I've never needed any of the pro stuff, so and then you can also use different tools to make charts, so it's like almost like an Excel type thing. Maps, they've got maps from all countries all over the world. And then videos, you can import YouTube video to use in your presentation. So we're going to be creating a flyer for the Shimatsu photograph contest. Okay, so what I did is on my Google Docs, I wrote down all the information that I'm going to need to put into my flyer, because that's going to be extremely helpful, that I don't have to be thinking about what I need to put in there. So I put in all the little things that I need, like the title, the day it's due, who's going to be involved, the rules, the prizes. I have to include all of that in my flyer, so I have all that information ready to go. So over here, I'm going to start with probably a background. So you can pick a background, and I mean, if you apply something, you see it, you click on it, and immediately, goes to that. So you can choose any of the backgrounds that are on here. Now, this is for a photography contest, so I would want to look through here and see what I might find that's related to that. So I decided to leave the background white, since this is going to be a flyer that we're going to make copies of and send home. There's really no point in making it really fancy in the background department. So I am going to go over to graphics, and as you can see, I've searched photography. There's different things you can search. I could search photography, I can search camera, and it'll give me some graphics that I can use. Okay, so I'm going to go back to photography, and since this is a photography contest, we can take maybe this image here, and as soon as you click on it, it's going to appear on your page, and you can resize it, you can stretch it out, you can make it smaller, really tiny, just depending on what you want. Okay, so here I kind of want to put it maybe as my little graphic here in the corner, and I'm going to put my title. So I'm going to go over to text, and I want my title to be big. Now there's also options here for the way you want your title to look. So anything that you see here, you can click on it and then it will appear on your page here. So I'm going to click on this one. So maybe I can move this down. I want to move it somewhere else. And I could put this one up here. And it kind of looks like a photography or something like that. And we can put it up here on top, and then you can double click here where the words are, and you can put whatever you want. So Shimatsu, and what I like about this is that it resizes it as you go. So it would be Shimatsu photography contest. Okay. Now if I want it to be longer, I can always click on the text box to make it longer or shorter or whatever it is that I might want. And then I have this whole area here to work with. So the next thing that I want to put on there is the due date. Okay, so I'll go back to my Piktochart, and I could, let's see if I can find another one that might look good for to put in here the due date maybe. All right, so we can use this, maybe make it smaller. Okay, and then I'm going to put another text box, maybe a smaller text box right here, and it's going to appear wherever it wants to appear. So you're going to have to move it where you want it. And what I like is you see these orange lines that appear, it kind of tells you where you are on the page. So if you want it directly in the middle, you know, you can, in relation to anything else that's on the page. So do you double click here, and it would be due date, and then it would be December 7th, 2017. Okay, so now we're going to input another text box, and I want it the same size, and it appears all the way over here, of course. And then you've got to move it down, and you can see how I lined it up with my due date. Next thing is grade levels. So it's going, this is going to apply to 3rd grade levels, 3rd through 6th. Okay, and I want it to be all on one line, so I'm going to make it longer. There we go. Then I want to put the next thing, which are the rules. So I'm going to come over here, put another text box. There it is. Okay. Double click, rules. Okay. Number 1. Oh, and you can also change, see how this is like in the middle? I can change the alignment to left. And then I've got rules and number 1. So I can come over here and let's see if I can copy paste everything. I'm not sure if it'll copy the numbers, but we can try. And then paste. Ah, it did. Awesome. All right, so now we want to change what that is because there we go. And I'm going to make this wider in both directions so that everything fits really well. All right, I'm going to move you up, and we can move these up here. And you can kind of just play around with all of these things here. So I think I'm going to get rid of that. So you can always decide to get rid of stuff. And then, so here's the other one. And let's say I want to put lines around something like this. I would go back to the graphic and I would go to lines, and I would choose the line that I want, and so it has like the dotted line. So you can go to the dotted line, you can stretch it out. Now I've got a line there, and prizes. So I need another section for prizes. So I come over here and I scroll down and I've got a little section right there. So I'm going to go text box right here, and I'm going to copy this right here, prizes, and copy and paste. And then see, when I click out, it'll go to what I have it set for. So we haven't decided on the prizes yet. They are going to be gift cards, but we don't know the amounts yet. And so I can always go back and change this. So I could save this. I could give it a name, Shimatsu Photography Contest Flyer. Okay, and I can save it. And now it's saved. It's got everything that I need, and I can always come back to it later and add or take away more things. Up here you can get your preview, so it'll show you what it's going to look like once you print it out. Now it's not like gorgeous right now, but of course I can go back and add more graphics, take things away. So I'd exit preview. Over here I can share it with someone, so I can email it to someone. I can download it, and that would be when I'm completely done. I would download it as a PDF, and then I can print it out. And as far as the text features go, a lot of it is a lot like Word. It's got all the, little options: undo, cut. It's got the bold, the underline, the text alignment. All of that stuff is available for you there. So really, it's just playing with it and adding and subtracting things and seeing what works, and using your designer's eye. So if you need any help, I can help you with that. Just let me know. Shoot me an email, and I can go over to your classroom and help you. Thank you for listening. Hi, boys and girls. I'm here today to show you how to use OPAC, which is the way that we search for books that we have here in the library. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to our Sharyland webpage, which is www.sharylandisd.org. Then you're going to come up to this select a school on the upper left hand corner, and you're going to drop down and you're going to find Harry Shimatsu Elementary. Click on that, and it might take a little while to load, but just wait for it. Don't be clicking on everything, so it'll slow it down. And once that opens up for us, we're going to be looking for the tab that says library. So we're going to slide down here. You see where it says library, and we're going to click on library. So it'll take us there. And on the left hand side right here, we have all these links to some resources that we have. And we're going to click on resources. And we're going to scroll all the way down here till we find OPAC. So we're going to click on OPAC. And this is the OPAC for our school. Now I want you to notice there's a search box up here that has advanced, combo, and media searches. On the right over here, you can log on. And right now we're on the home page, which includes news and messages in this box. There's another search box here, books that are featured, and then it's got like a scrolling list of books that is being checked out a lot, and so it pops up here. We also have a tab for search and a tab for visual. So we're going to start off here on this first page, and we're going to go to the search. And let's say you are looking for a specific book, like a Diary of a Wimpy Kid book. Okay, so if it's a book that you're not sure the title of, you could always use keyword. So we could use like Wimpy Kid. And then it'll pop up this menu, and it gives you different options like Dive a Wimpy Kid Dog Days, Double Down, The Long Haul, and so on. And these are all available in the library. So let's say none of the ones that we're looking for are here. So we would just click on keyword, and so it takes us to the list of books that come up under that search. And as you can see, some of them are in Spanish, some of them are in English. And I want you to notice that on each entry, you're going to notice where it says in at the main library or out. So it might be checked in, so you'll be able to find it in the library, or if it's checked out, you will not be able to find it in the library. Now I want you to notice it does tell you whether it's Spanish or English, SP. It tells you fiction, so it's going to be in the fiction section. And then it's the last 3 letters of the author, in this case K-I-N, for Kine. So it also gives you the AR reading level, the points for that book, how much it's worth, and it gives you the interest level. So it's for middle grade, so 3rd through 5th or so. That doesn't mean that you can't read it if you're not in 3rd through 5th. It just means that's who it's targeted for. Okay. On the left side, you'll see search options. So within this search, you can look for to be more specific. So if it's, for example, you're looking for cabin fever, so I could put in here cabin fever, go, and it looks for that specific book that I was looking for. Okay, so I'm going to go back. If you want to narrow it down by books that are in, you will only want to see books that are in, then you would click here, and then all the books that are out are taken out of the list. And then you can remove in from the filter, and they're back in, back on the list right there. Okay. You can also narrow it down by the book type. So if you're looking for just the book, then you would click on books. If you're looking for CDs, you can click on CDs. And these are the books that we have available in audio format. Okay, and you can remove that filter. By age group, you can browse by specific terms that are associated with these books. Or you can also find, for example, if I'm looking for Dive a Wimpy Kid Cabin Fever and it's out, I can go to another school like Hinojosa, and I can find the book there. Let's see if they have it right here. It's out, so I can't get it from there either. So I can try Benson Elementary, see if they have it there. And it's in. So what I could do is I could request from the library that they do an interlibrary loan. And what that is you go to your librarian and you say, I want this book, it's at another school, can you please request it for me? And then she would do that. And then the library, Benson Elementary's library, would send it to us here, and then we would give it to you, and you would have the 2 weeks to read it, and then you'd have to return it to us. And then we would return it to Benson. So those are the options that you have. There are some advanced things that you can do, but that's going to be in another lesson. This was just the basics of how to find a book in OPAC and figure out if it is in the library. So if you do find a book that you want and it is in, for example, Diary of a Wimpy Kid Dog Days, you use the call number to find it. F for fiction, so you go to the fiction section. KIN is the author, and that's where you would find it. So thank you so much, boys and girls. If you have more questions, please let me know, and I will be very glad to help you out. Bye-bye.